You've never had more access to great advice, and you've never felt more unclear. And most of that advice isn't wrong. It's just not right for you. Every tutorial makes sense. Every strategy sounds smart. Every new tool promises leverage, and somehow the more you learn, the harder it is to move forward. Clarity doesn't come from adding more. It comes from deciding what you're willing to ignore. If you watched my last video, you already know this. You aren't lazy, you're saturated. But whether this is your first time hearing it or your second, the truth is the same. Your ambition is still there, but somewhere between your goals and your feed, you lost an important filter. I didn't even realize that's what was happening at first. It just felt like I was staying sharp. You're consuming advice faster than you can execute it. That's not a productivity problem, it's a direction problem. Today, we're installing a gate. Not to shrink your ambition, but to protect it. And by the end of this video, you'll have a system to reject misaligned advice before it steals your focus. Here's what the algorithm actually does. It's not designed to help you progress. It's designed to keep you watching. And if you don't build your own filter, the platform decides what you see and what you learn. That's not conspiracy thinking. That's just how it works. The feed optimizes for engagement, not your goals. And if you don't decide what matters, the algorithm will gladly decide for you. So by default, you're learning what gets clicks, not what moves you forward. Think about what happens when you're building a long-form authority channel, the kind built on expertise, trust, and content that compounds over time. But then your feed starts flooding you with short-form retention tactics, viral hooks, pattern interrupts, 15-second storytelling formulas, and they're all smart advice. They're all legitimate techniques, but they're not right for you right now. They're for somebody building a TikTok strategy, not somebody building a YouTube channel that's meant to last. I see this play out in 3 specific ways, and I want to name them because you might be doing one of them right now. First, there's the short-form drift. You're studying viral hooks and fast attention tricks, when what you really need is depth and storytelling. The advice is good, it's just not right for what you're building. I have felt that pull hard. It's convincing when everyone around you seems to be pivoting. Second, there's the AI tool FOMO. A new automation drops every week. New model, new capability, new promise. And you start chasing every single one because what if it's the thing that changes everything? Meanwhile, your actual content sits unfinished. Third, there's the gear rabbit hole. You're deep diving into equipment specs, lighting setups, and microphone comparisons when your current gear is perfectly fine. You're optimizing for production before you've optimized for ideas. All 3 of these are real problems I've watched derail creators. And here's the cost. Scattered focus, delayed projects, and decision fatigue that makes it harder to finish anything at all. Earlier today, I had 6 different tabs open while I was supposed to be writing the script. I honestly couldn't tell you what they were about now. It felt urgent. It always feels urgent. But meanwhile, I wanted to get this script finished, an actual piece of work that mattered. So I closed every tab, didn't pretend they didn't exist, just closed them, went back to the script and finished it. Finishing this will do more for my channel than any of those tabs would have, but opening them felt easier than working on this. And I still have to do that a lot more often than I'd like to admit. This isn't something I mastered once, it's something I have to practice daily. See, that's the real problem with consuming the right things at the wrong time. It doesn't just slow you down, it makes you feel productive while pulling you further away from your goals. You're busy, you're learning, you're staying current, but you're not building. Nothing compounds, and building is what matters. So here's the truth. Since the platform won't filter you, you have to filter for yourself. You need a gate, and that's what we're building right now. The gate isn't complicated. It's 2 layers of filtering. The first layer is identity. The second is relevance, together with what I call the gate protocol. Once you use it, you stop wasting time on advice that seems right but pulls you in the wrong direction. It starts with identity. The question is simple. Is this aligned with who I'm building into? That's the entire first layer. Most creators, or a lot of creators, skip it. That's why they end up saturated. Short form drift is an identity problem. You're consuming content about viral hooks and pattern interrupts because they're everywhere and they're fascinating. But if you're building a long form authority channel, that's not who you're becoming. You're building a deep, trustworthy, expertise-driven content. That's a different story. That's a different identity. Different skills, different strategy. So when you see a video titled, "The 5-second hook that makes people stop scrolling," Ask yourself, is this aligned with who I'm building into? The answer is probably no. It's not wrong, it's just pulling you sideways. And here's what happens when you skip the identity check. You study techniques that don't belong in your toolkit. You compare yourself to creators building something completely different. You feel behind because you're not doing what they're doing. You're not falling behind, you're looking at the wrong map. And sometimes staying informed is just a socially acceptable way to avoid deciding. The identity layer catches that before it becomes a problem. Once identity passes, you move to the second layer, relevance. This layer uses 3 questions. They're quick, they're practical, and they'll save you hours every week. Question 1. Does this serve what I'm working on right now? Not your future plans, not something you might do eventually, what you're actually building today. If the answer is no, it doesn't pass. Question 2. Can I act on this within 7 days? If it requires a full workflow overhaul, weeks of learning, or only makes sense 6 months from now, it doesn't pass. You don't need another concept. You need something you can actually finish. Question 3. Would ignoring it actually hurt my progress? This is the permission question. Sometimes the answer is yes, you genuinely need to understand this now, or you will fall behind. But most of the time the answer is no. You could skip it and still move forward. If it doesn't meet all 3, it doesn't stay. And a system only works if you use it, so we need a reset protocol, something you run when you catch yourself consuming instead of building. And that's what comes next. You're scrolling deep in your feed. You're reading about the latest AI model, a new editing technique, or a creator who just had 1 million subscribers with a strategy you've never heard of. And you don't even realize it yet, but you've stopped working. And that's how drift wins. And I don't always catch it immediately. Sometimes I only notice after I've already lost more time than I want to admit. That's when you run G.A.T.E, the reset protocol, 4 simple steps. First, get aware. Notice when you're scrolling input instead of building. Sounds obvious? A lot of creators might not catch it until they've lost an hour. Second step, abort the scroll. Close the tab, stand up, walk away from the screen for 60 seconds. Interrupt the pattern before it compounds. Third step, test alignment. Run the identity and relevance filters. You already know the answers. This step is just permission to let the input go. Fourth step, execute the build. Return to what matters. Open your script, start your outline, record your voiceover, and do the work that moves you forward. Here's the balance that makes this sustainable. You can't eliminate input entirely. You shouldn't. Learning is part of the process, but learning has to be intentional, not random. Execution time is protected, non-negotiable. That's your scripting block, your recording block, and your editing block. And when I'm working, I set a timer for 30 minutes of focused work. When it goes off, I give myself 15 minutes to step away. Then I come back and reset it. Focus, break, focus again. It keeps execution clean. That's how momentum starts to feel simple again. I didn't start working this way because I was disciplined. I started because I was overwhelmed. I was tired of feeling productive without actually finishing anything. Study time has a place. Maybe it's after 8 p.m. when what you're working on is done. Maybe it's Sunday when you're reviewing and planning. The point isn't the exact hour. The point is that you decide when learning happens instead of letting it interrupt your work. Unscheduled learning, the random scrolling, the just checking what's going on, the endless tabs, that creates saturation, and that kills momentum. This week, reject one piece of misaligned input and run the protocol once. Close the tab, archive it. Notice what you do with the time you just freed up. You don't need to shrink your ambition, you just need to narrow your gates. In the next video, we're going to take what survives the gate and turn it into content that deserves attention.